The Raiders are back. Raiders guard Jackson Powers Johnson tells us why he's excited about Chip Kelly's offense. Plus, Sports Illustrated's Albert Breer tells us why Pete Carroll is in win now mode. And former Raider James Jones checks in. Could the Raiders receivers be the talk of the NFL? New season loading in New England. The Silver and Black Show starts now. Welcome into the 27th season of the Silver and Black Show, everybody. I'm Theoharis, excited to be back for another season. All is right in the world again after 31 weeks without football. The Raiders are a completely different team. From the Super Bowl winning leadership of Pete Carroll and John Spytek to the 13 new starters expected to take the field this Sunday in New England. In Vegas terms, Mark Davis didn't just reshuffle the cards, he ordered a fresh new deck. NFL.com listed the Raiders as one of the top 3 most improved teams heading into 2025, and that's great. But the goal isn't just to improve, it's to win it all. And to break down their chances, we welcome in my old friend from the MMQB, Albert Breer. And Albert, is always so much fun to talk to you. Thanks for coming back. And you're kicking off the season of the Silver and Black Show. And we have news right off the top. Amari Cooper announces that he is going to retire. What can you tell us?
Yeah, I think this is just, a pretty simple case of a player who this would have been his 12th year, I believe. And, you get out there and you haven't, gotten yourself into football shape yet. And you start to ramp yourself up and you maybe realize you can't do it, And so I always try to respect these decisions by players because they're difficult ones to come to. And, I think it's like why a lot of times you see guys wrestle with retirement. You might not see a guy announce his retirement until a year or two after he stopped playing because, they want to try to keep that light on. And Amari obviously kept that light on and, for long enough for the Raiders to come and get him this summer. And, sometimes you go through that process of trying to get yourself back up and ready to go. And it's just not there. And in fact, you actually see this, I think, more often at the start of training camp. Like we'll see retirement sometimes at the start of training camp because guys will go through the spring and then they'll go through their pre-camp routine and they'll just, make the decision like, I'm just not there anymore, And I think that's probably just how simple this was for Amari Cooper.
Yeah, and I know Raider Nation was excited to maybe see him, especially back here week 2 at Allegiant, but we wish him the best, and that's a personal decision. And let's talk about this Raiders team, the guys that are here. And look, I just talked about the chances of going to the Super Bowl. Every team thinks they have a chance at the beginning of the season. We're in Vegas. We know the odds. We see them. But last year, I think of a team like the Commanders who, they were a long shot to go to the NFC Championship game, and they turned it around quickly. So tell me why the Raiders, just like the Commanders, a four-win team the year before, could turn it around in 2025.
Well, I think the first thing you want to start with is the environment that the Raiders are in, which is a tougher one than what the Commanders were in. They're in the AFC West, 3 playoff teams last year. They're in the AFC as a whole at large. And, I think we all know the gauntlet that you've got to go through, the different quarterbacks that are in the conference. I'd say the 4 best quarterbacks in all of football are in the AFC: Mahomes, Burrow, Jackson, and Allen. So I think it's tougher to pull something like that off in the AFC and then specifically the AFC West than it would be if they were in the NFC. But I think there are reasons to believe that that they can be way more competitive this year than they were a year ago. Pete Carroll is the first reason, right? Like, so you bring him in and you see what he was able to do in Seattle. And that first year, like in 2010, when he got back to the NFL, they won the division. Now, they won the division with a losing record, but they won their division. And it was because Pete was able to create a level of competition and balance across his roster there, even though the roster wasn't there yet. And they really broke through in year 3, but you started to see signs of where they were going very early on. And so I would expect that you'll see that from the Raiders. I think, like, schematically, it's a credit to Pete that he hired outside of his own tree and bringing in Chip Kelly to run the offense and then retaining Pat Graham to run the defense. And then I do think that the Raiders have some really exciting frontline players, and so Geno's obviously one of them. Who I think's been underrated the last couple of years for what he's been able to do in Seattle. But you have Brock Bowers, a very unique weapon. You have Ashton Genty coming in as your first round pick. You have Max Crosby, who's one of the best players in football at any position. So you have some real frontline guys. Now, I think the biggest question for them, and this is where maybe they lack a little bit of what the Commanders had last year, is the balance across the roster. It does look like on the surface there are a few gaping holes. And so how do you manage those deficiencies? I think that'll determine how far they go.
Yeah, and I think some of those holes you can see the secondary. There's some question marks that we haven't seen yet. New linebacking core, a veteran linebacking core, and I think there's some strengths as well as we point to the defense, the defensive line. But I do want to go back to Pete Carroll, and you talk about how he went outside of his coaching tree. One of the things that was interesting to me is he expects to win now. I think every coach wants to win, but there used to be, when you and I first came into the league, kind of a 2 to 3 year window, right? There was a window that coaches had. It was set at 3 years. Pete's never bought into that. And he came here and said, look, we expect to win a lot of games. What is it about him that, going back to USC, New England, you've covered the Patriots for a long time, that allows him to come in? What specifically about him allows him to come in and every level turn organizations or colleges around?
I think it's his ability to create a certain environment and a certain culture inside a building. I know those are buzzwords, but you could really feel it in Seattle. And I remember having this conversation with Geno, and I'm sure you guys have had that conversation with him as well, where Geno was sort of if he even wanted to continue with his football career when he got to Seattle. And stepping into that environment, he'd tell you was unlike anything he'd ever seen before. And it was a really unique thing they had in Seattle. Now it takes a while to get to where the Seahawks were when they were winning championships, but I think you can feel the energy, the types of players he's bringing in, and what they wind up doing and injecting into the rest of the roster. There's just a very well-defined idea of what it is that he's looking to build and the types of people he needs to execute it. And so having that, I would say, and this is obviously a more vague piece of it, but that singular focus on building something so specific is really important. And then I think the way his teams wind up playing, the way they practice, you'll see an energy and a play style, and that's the first thing that you want to look for. Even when they have the holes in the roster, and those are still there, and we can go through those too if you want. You're going to see a certain play style, the way a Pete Carroll team plays, and so I think those are the things that kind of will jump out at you right away, just as far as making them competitive. And it's interesting because I know a lot of people look at Pete is kind of this happy-go-lucky guy, and he is in a lot of ways. It's amazing the energy he has. But he built a really kind of edgy, tough, angry culture in Seattle. And I think you could see that already with what they've got in Vegas. And it's leaning into guys that he already has. Guys like Max and guys like Colton Miller and guys like Brock Bowers that have the qualities to kind of build that sort of edgy environment. And then, I think it's also prioritizing that and what you're looking for. And I actually think that's where Pete Carroll lined up the most with Tom Brady, where what Tom Brady was looking for was what Pete Carroll was looking for in players. I think there's a lot of similarities there. There's similarities between Belichick and Carroll for that matter, which is part of where Brady gets it from. So I think that's what you're going to look for is there's a certain type of player he is looking to bring in. There's a play style he's looking for. And even when they're not good enough to win on a week-to-week basis, you're going to see that play style, I think, out there on the field.
Yeah, the number one theme with Pete Carroll is compete. I mean, that has been the theme all throughout the preseason. I think on the other side, when we look at this Patriots matchup, Mike Vrabel coming to that team where he won Super Bowls. We saw what he did with the Titans. Is this a team that also, you just can't overlook them? They've made a lot of changes, and they, much like Pete Carroll built that kind of edgy culture, it seems like Mike Vrabel brings that kind of grit.
Yeah.
And his players, we saw it in Tennessee, start to personify that at some point. Do you think the Raiders can expect to see that even week one in New England?
Yeah, I think you can see it in the preseason in New England. Like the way that guys were finishing runs, the way that guys were attacking the ball on defense. Like I just think again, like, and you can see it in the Raiders too. Like it's just a certain energy that they bring to the game, and that's I think what they're looking for. So that's already there with New England. I think New England's problems are a little bit different than the Raiders' problems. Like New England, I think lacks some of the frontline talent that the Raiders have. They probably have a little bit more balance on their roster. Like I think there are fewer gaping holes. I think both teams, like from a roster building standpoint, have a ways to go. But yeah, I mean, I think you're going to be able to see some similarities in what Mike Vrabel is building in New England and what Pete Carroll is trying to build in Vegas. And I made this comment to somebody up here the other day that I think in a way they're sort of mirror images of each other in the spot that they're in. Like that they're both building from the ground up in a lot of ways from a roster standpoint, but you can already see markings in both places of what the coaches are looking to do.
It's very incestuous too. If you look at the rosters, Jacoby Myers was a Patriot, Robert Spillane's over there, Caleb Von Chase on. I mean,
Yep.
it's like almost like they swapped a lot of rosters. And one thing is Josh McDaniels is the offensive coordinator who was the head coach of the Raiders. He's going to want to come out strong and win this game.
Yep.
But I think one of the mismatches I'm looking at is the Raiders' defensive line going up against the offensive line of the Patriots. I mean, what exactly will you be looking at in the trenches there? That seems like a mismatch to me with Moses and Campbell on the
Right.
tackles.
Yeah, and you mentioned, you mentioned the coordinator matchup. That's gonna be a big part of it too, right? Like because Josh McDaniels, defensive coordinator when he was in Vegas, was Pat Graham. So those guys know each other exceptionally well. And so it'll be interesting to see the way that part of the game plays out. But yeah, I'd say the offensive line is like top of the list as far as New England's concerns. Really like right through camp to the very end, the left guard and center spots were wide open. Nobody had really seized them, so those are going to be, I think, areas where Pat Graham can really look to exploit the Patriots. On top of the fact that they've got a rookie at left tackle and a guy who thinks going to be a really good player in the pros, but a lot of people think was better suited for guard than tackle. So I'd agree with you, Amber. I think it's one of the key matchups, and how Max Crosby and the D line look going up against the guys like Malcolm Kuntz, like going up against the Patriots offensive line. And I think in particular, what you want to drill down on is the left side of the Patriots offensive line. Like, what does that look like against the Raiders, and how does Patrick Graham look to exploit some of the matchups over there?
On the Patriots side on defense, they have a lot of new starters as well, and it's looking like Christian Gonzalez might not play. They're arguably their best player on defense. Do you feel like this could be an opportunity for this Raiders receiving core that has kind of emerged as I think, a true strength of this team, especially when you look at even some of the depth of the receiving core and some of the young guys and the potential, and then you have Geno Smith now throwing to them?
Yeah, I mean, I think that so like without Gonzalez, I think we can presume that like Gonzalez is at least very iffy, if not out for the game on Sunday. I think that takes away from what would be the primary strength of the Patriots defense. Like when they're fully locked in and they have all their guys, the secondary should be the strength of the defense, maybe the strongest unit on the entire team. And so without Gonzalez, that diminishes a little. Carlton Davis was banged up for a lot of camp. And so now I think, okay, what are the Patriots going to do to combat Bowers? And how many resources are they going to throw at Bowers? And then can you take advantage of the matchups on the outside as a result of that? So I think, Myers is obviously going to be an interesting piece of this. Jack Bash, like what kind of role does he play as a rookie? The one that I kind of have my eye on that I think is interesting is Trey Tucker. I know the Raiders felt like because Geno's got, a big arm, he's got the ability to get the ball downfield, that maybe he could unlock some things with Tucker that weren't there, over the last couple of years. So like, how can you create matchups for those three guys, knowing that the Patriots are going to throw a lot at you, and throw a lot at Brock Bowers? That to me is going to be a real key. And look, Chip Kelly's really really good too at getting guys isolated and creating matchups. So if there's anybody that's equipped to taking advantage of a team over committing to take away Brock Bowers, Chip Kelly's kind of the guy that can do that.
I'll tell you, it really feels different here in Vegas with Geno Smith at quarterback. He's a guy that has proven that he can, win game-winning drives. He has the second most game-winning drives since 2022. And explain just how huge that ability is, especially in the AFC West, where if you want to compete, it's probably going to come down to some close games.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's just as far as where Geno's at, I think he's in a fantastic spot. I like his story to me is so interesting just because of like everything that he went through in New York, having to kind of pull himself off the mat, and put himself in a position where he could compete for a starting job, and it would take years for him to do that. I think he's like, again, like I said to you earlier, Amber, I think he's a better player than people realize, and I think when you look at what happened from a scheme standpoint last year in Seattle and how, I think they weren't able to do a ton in the running game, and there wasn't a ton of play action in the offense, and he was kind of a sitting duck back there. Playing in Chip's offense is going to be refreshing for him because so much of what they do is off play action. So much of the run game ties together with the passing game. And so I think they stand to get a really good version of Geno Smith, not to mention the fact that Pete knows him and knows how to use him, And so um, I, I think the best way to look at Geno is kind of consider what Alex Smith was for Kansas City for all those years. I think Geno's poised to be that guy for Pete Carroll in Vegas. And again, like he's performed in big spots for the Seahawks the last 3 years. So I'd be surprised if you didn't get, again, like a really good version of Geno this year.
And I think the best thing that can happen is Ashton Genty gets off to a hot start and you get a real good running game going. The possibilities are endless. Before I let you go, I do got to ask you about Drake May. We haven't even brought him up, and you're very close to that team. Don't you live just, a couple miles away from Gillette?
Yeah. It's not that close.
Not that close.
An hour,
okay, but you're in New
enough,
England. You're in New England. You've seen them a lot. What can we expect from Drake May? He had flashes in his rookie year. Have you seen him take a step forward?
Yeah, I think he's definitely going to take a step forward. And I think it's going to be interesting seeing what Josh McDaniels does with him. Josh's offense traditionally, and as people in Vegas know, has been very complex, and there's a lot of volume to it. So one of the things Josh did in his year off was spend some time at the college level, and really like drilled down on some of the things that are happening at that level, give him a better chance to get real context on the players who are coming from college to the pros, where they're at, and maybe you work on doing a little bit better job of meeting them where they're at, and I think that's relevant to Drake because Drake was seen as being so raw coming out of North Carolina. And so what does Josh's offense look like pared down a little bit, maybe doing a little bit more with the quarterback in the run game, and moving him around a bunch? Like that's the part that I'm really interested to see. Because Drake still does developmentally have a little ways to go, and so how are they able to lean into his strengths? That's what I'm going to be interested to watch. Now, to his credit, people that I've talked to have said everything that Josh has thrown at Drake, he's been able to absorb and handle. So what does that look like in a game setting? We'll see on Sunday. We'll see over the next 3 or 4 months, but the talent's there. He's the right kind of kid. And now, we'll see how that comes together with Josh in his ear on a play-to-play and game-to-game basis.
Well, we know Max Crosby and company is going to do everything to stunt that development if he has some strides to make developmentally. Yeah. That'll be the best thing that can happen for Raider Nation. Albert, give me a bold prediction. Is there something great you can see happening for the Raiders, a specific player, a win total? What do you think when you think about this Raiders team?
I think Genty's going to have a big day. I think Genty will have a big day on Sunday. That would be my game prediction. I think the one thing that maybe surprised the Raiders a little bit, and they knew a lot about him, but it was like the three down value that he could bring to the table. A lot of times with a college back, you don't see a lot of that because like Boise did, and it was the right thing to do for them. You lean into the guy as a runner. He's not doing a lot from a pass protection standpoint. And so, I think one of the things that the Raiders were pleasantly surprised with was like how far along he was in that area when they got him, which is important because that'll allow them to keep him on the field a lot. So I like where Genty is going into week 1. I think he has a big debut.
Albert Breer, you are always a wealth of information. Love hearing your perspective, and I hope to see you soon out at the game, my friend.
Awesome. Thanks, Amber.
All right, thanks. Coming up, it's the homie, James Jones. He's going to be stopping by to tell us why the Raiders pass catchers could put on a show in 2025.
How about Totally Obsessed? We created a cocktail that requires 7 unique ingredients. The most important one, 1800 tequila. Just as obsessed with taste and quality as we are. The world's most awarded tequila, proudly poured at the world's best bar.
Every year, millions fly with us at Allegiant because together, we go places. We see old friends and try new things. We laugh. We really like to laugh. And reconnect. We remember. And we wander, which leads to wonder. From how we go to where we go to what we do when we get there, we go further together.
At Cox, we're always a step ahead. There you go. I'll show you. Like, before your basement became Movie Central, we made sure you'd have strong Wi-Fi, even down here. And you can rest easy knowing the price of your plan won't go up for 3 years. Guaranteed. See? He's looking out for you. And so are we, with advanced security that blocks threats on your network. Good boy. Whatever the future brings, Cox will keep you a step ahead. Oh.
How about Totally Obsessed? We created a cocktail that requires 7 unique ingredients. The most important one, 1800 tequila. Just as obsessed with taste and quality as we are. The world's most awarded tequila, proudly poured at the world's best bar.
The Silver and Black Show is brought to you by Cox, proud partner of the Las Vegas Raiders. Allegiant, the official airline of the Raiders. Low fares, nonstop flights, only at Allegiant.com. Victory Live, connecting the world of live experiences. And by 1800 Tequila, official partner of the Raiders. Taste is everything. Please drink responsibly.
Who stars in your movie?
Mine?
Oh man, I don't know that I have a movie yet.
I don't think the script's been written. So we'll have to see how that's
It's still
written.
been written, right?
No, it hasn't been written. It hasn't been finished. I still
Yeah.
got things to accomplish here. We still got to get a trophy, another trophy and rings.
That's right.
Baron Davis interviewing Mark Davis, Talk of the Nation. Check it out. And speaking of Talk of the Nation, everybody's talking about James Jones because he's back for another season of Raiders Game Day. We're glad to have you here on the Silver and Black Show. I like what Mark Davis said. My story's not written. We got to get a Lombardi. I see one in your background. I dressed up as one. So there's a lot of Lombardi vibes today in this organization. Are you excited about this team, James?
I am excited about this team, and it starts with the quarterback. We have a quarterback now in Geno Smith that's capable of winning football games. And the main thing is just trying to punch a ticket to the playoffs. We're going to have a good running game. We obviously got a superstar tight end. Max Crosby and those guys will be better defensively. But, yeah, Mark said it best. I mean, shoot, story's not written until you get a couple of these things behind me. And I know that's what Raider Nation wants, and even just an opportunity to compete for one. But I think we got the right team, the right people, the right coaches. I think it'll be a good year.
James, I know the number one thing you did when we were out at training camp, you always look at the receivers. You actually run down the sideline checking out the receivers. So are you excited about this receivers room? Because I am. And I think that maybe if things click, they could be one of the better units in the NFL. Do you agree with that? Because I'm including Brock Bowers in that statement.
Well, you know, Amber, me and you have had a lot of receiver talk, so probably know receivers better than I do. No, I'm very excited about this room. We got a lot of young talent in this room, and Jacoby Myers is out there as well. And then you got to add Brock. So I absolutely love what we got in the receiver room. I think we got some guys that can make some explosive plays, and we got some really, really, really good route runners. So if we protect Geno Smith, the way I think we can, I think he gets the ball out to these playmakers and we make some hay this year.
You mentioned the quarterback position. It is night and day from this time last year, I think, of Raider Nation's confidence coming into this year. But let me ask you as a wideout, I mean, you have a Lombardi trophy because you caught passes from one of the best, future Hall of Famer and Aaron Rodgers. Would you want to catch passes from Geno Smith, and why?
Absolutely. And the main reason why is Geno Smith is super accurate and he gets the ball out of his hands extremely fast. And as a receiver, that's all you want. You want a quarterback that is going to get the ball out of his hands extremely fast and be extremely accurate. And that is what Geno Smith is. And the other thing is he's mobile. So he's going to get outside the pocket sometimes. And then when you get outside the pocket as a receiver, you love it because now those are broken plays. And that's how you're able to get some explosive plays and kind of pat your stats as well. So I would love to play with Geno Smith out there talking to Coach Olsen. Coach Olsen was telling me that his arm is live, so the ball is spinning off of his hand. And we know he's one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the league, man, over the last 5 years and just getting the ball out of his hands. So as a receiver, you love that.
Okay, let's switch it over to the Patriots. This is week one. They're going to New England. Drake May in his second year. Drake May, would you want to catch passes from him? Do you think he can be a bona fide quarterback in the NFL?
We on a Raider show. We don't.
There's a written I wrote. I knew what you were going to say, but tell me about him.
No,
what do they have to
look
for?
Watching Drake May last year and seeing how he was developing, and then you get him Stephon Diggs, and one of my favorites coming out of the draft was Kyle Williams out of Washington State, and they got him, and I think he's going to be a heck of a player too. But Drake May has it all. Drake May has it all, and now you get Coach Rabel, a coach that is a proven winner, and you get him over there. But he has the total package, man. Live arm, mobile, smart. Able to read defenses really well. So I would love to play with Drake May too, especially early, man, being able to develop with this young kid. You got to look out for him and Kyle Williams. I know Stephon Diggs is a little older, but him and Kyle Williams, being there together, being really young, I think they're going to be able to do some damage in this league.
Look, I think the best thing that the Raiders defense can do is keep him inside the pocket because his instinct is to run. And I know New England's been trying to get him to stay in the pocket and not just try to escape, which he had to do at UNC. So try to make him uncomfortable, keep him in the pocket. But you remember Stephon Diggs, right? You mentioned him. We know he's one of the great receivers of the NFL, but he's coming off an injury. Is he still a bona fide number one threat?
We're going to find out. Watching him move. Yeah, just watching him move around and what I've seen just with him training and what I've seen at training camp and stuff, he looks like he still has that juice and he still has that extra step to really, be an explosive receiver. And before he got hurt, in Houston, he was playing really well. So, I think the way he works and the way he grinds and the way he takes care of his body, I think he is going to come back, especially with a little chip on his shoulder to prove that he still can play this game at a high level. I think you'll see a really good Stephon Diggs. And like we just talked about, you're with a really good quarterback in Drake May. That's going to give him some opportunities. I think he is still a scary receiver, and we got to make sure we account for him. But you know what? If we get pressure on him, it's tough for them receivers to get that ball, and I know that firsthand.
Yeah, and these new corners are going to be tested. Caillou Blue-Kelly, Eric Stokes. This is our first chance to get a look at this secondary. Let's stick with Brock Bowers, though. I mean, what he did last year, now that we've had time to reflect, is pretty amazing. And when I was watching the preseason, I know a lot of reports in the joint practices were that the Patriots defense really struggled against tight ends. Like TJ Hawkinson just destroyed them in the joint practices. We also know that Christian Gonzalez is probably out, their best corner. So, I mean, how does Rabel how do you game plan for Brock Bowers?
You don't. The main thing you do is you try to double team him, and that's going to be on us to be able to run the ball and get our other receivers involved. But to be honest with you, when you watch Brock Bowers, and not just because we're on the Raiders show, he's really unguardable. He's big and fast. You can't put small corners on him. Even if Gonzalez was there and you thought about traveling Gonzalez with him, he's too small for him. Brock is able to have a lot of range and make tough catches. And then you put the linebackers on him, they're too slow. And then Brock could block, and you could spread him out wide. So I really think he's unguardable, especially if you have other weapons around him that's really, demanding a little bit of attention. And I think we're going to have that this year, especially with Genty in the backfield and Jacoby and those guys on the outside. It's going to be tough to guard Brock because if you want to double him, then how are you going to stop the run? If you want to put a linebacker on him, how you going to stop the run? So I think he's unguardable because you're going to have to play the Raiders straight up because they got more weapons now. So it'll be interesting to see how it looks. It'll be a good matchup, but early and often, number 89 to see the football.
That's for sure. What's the first thing you're going to be looking for? Very first snap from the Raiders. I want to know this all season long. This is what I want to see. What are you going to be looking for?
I want to know how aggressive we're going to be. I want to see how much confidence we got in Geno Smith. We know we got a young running back in the backfield, but if this team is going to have any success, it's going to be because Geno Smith plays really good football. So I want to see how aggressive the Raiders are early and often. How much confidence do you got in Geno Smith to let that ball go and put the ball in his hands? All the good teams that I've been a part of, the ball is in the quarterback's hands, even whether you got a good run game or not. So I want to see how much trust Chip Kelly has in Geno Smith early in this game. So, I'm not calling it now, but first play of the game, go ball, bomb.
You said you want to see how aggressive they are. That's a receiver talking, though. I want to see Ashton Jeanty. That's what I'm going to be looking at, the offensive line, and I'm going to be looking at Ashton Jeanty because to me, if they can't establish a run, it doesn't matter where Brock Bowers is or Jacoby Myers. Everything is play action, and Geno Smith relies on that. So how does Chip Kelly kind of exploit the inexperience of this Patriots defense that has 6 new starters? Is it by running early and just establishing that?
Well, you definitely got to stay balanced, especially when you're talking about a Vrabel defense, because if he makes you one-dimensional, good luck. So you definitely got to stay balanced. I would love to see them have a balanced attack, but you already know when you play against a Vrabel defense, he's taking something away. He's from the Bill Belichick tree, so he's taking something away. But I would love to see them be balanced, and be able to kind of, run the air out of this football as well. But we all know, you want to run the ball, and the running back, Saquon Barkley, got these running backs value all the way up, but it's a passing league.
It is. That is true. Hey, well, good thing that the Raiders have one of the best pass rushers in the NFL in Max Crosby. And he's been on the precipice of winning Defensive Player of the Year. You have to think he will win it at some point in his career, and it'd be tough if he wasn't able to. I'm excited about the defensive line. I think it's going to be a strength of this team. What will it take for Max to be put in the position to be considered for that award at the end of the year?
Number one, Max has to do what he's been doing, because he's been dominating the league. We all love Max Crosby, the way he plays effort-wise. I mean, he's an impact player. But to be honest with you, he has to play in some meaningful games, and I think that's what's hurting him. The Raiders have not been playing in any meaningful games. So you talk about being on Sunday Night Football when the game really matters, and you talk about playing some of these noon games, and the game really matters. But the Raiders have to be in a position to have a good record and to be playing in some meaningful games and trying to make a playoff push, because Max is going to be Max. There's really nothing else he can do. He takes on double teams. He's getting sacks. He's getting tackles for loss. He's creating fumbles. I mean, he's doing everything a defensive player of the year should do. But when you look at the Raiders and you say, dang, man, they 3 in this, they 4 in this, it's tough to put Max Crosby in those conversations when you're looking at the Broncos making a push and Pat Surtain, is balling and they making a playoff push. So we just got to play in some meaningful games, and Max just has to continue to do what he do. And if he does that and we're in some meaningful games, I think he'll have a good chance of winning it.
I think the best thing that could happen to Max is Malcolm Kuntz picks up where he left off from 2 years ago and knocks the head off a couple quarterbacks so that everybody knows that you have to account for him. You can't just double Max.
Yeah,
so that would be huge.
No doubt.
All right, finish this sentence. The Raiders will win if.
Geno Smith balls.
That's it. You putting it all on the quarterback.
It's all on the quarterback. I've played with some really good ones, and the Brett Favres and the Aaron Rodgers, whoever you want to say. I played with some really good ones. If the quarterback balls out and plays at a really, really high level, the Raiders are going to be in contention for these playoffs and have an opportunity to compete.
All right, so that very first play, the go ball you mentioned, who's it to? Which receiver? Which receiver?
I'm going Thornton. I'm going the young fella.
Oh, that would make a statement. I would love that. Get on the
outside. We're going to get man-to-man. They're going to test us early because they know we got number 2 in the backfield in Jeanty. We're not going to let him get off too early. Hey, first play of the game, go ball, Thornton, let's go get it. It might be a 50-50. Go make a play, big dog.
I love it. James Jones, can't wait to see you after the game on Raiders game day. It's going to be great to be back with you again. Safe travels. Coming up next, Raiders right guard Jackson Powers-Johnson swings by the set.
At Cox, we're always a step ahead. There you go. I'll show you. Like, before your basement became Movie Central, we made sure you'd have strong Wi-Fi, even down here. And you can rest easy knowing the price of your plan won't go up for 3 years. Guaranteed. See? He's looking out for you, and so are we, with advanced security that blocks threats on your network. Good boy. Whatever the future brings, Cox will keep you a step ahead. Oh.
Every year, millions fly with us at Allegiant because together, we go places. We see old friends and try new things. We laugh. We really like to laugh. And reconnect. We remember. And we wander, which leads to wonder. From how we go to where we go to what we do when we get there, we go further together.
How about totally obsessed? We created a cocktail that requires 7 unique ingredients. The most important one? 1800 tequila. Just as obsessed with taste and quality as we are. The world's most awarded tequila, proudly poured at the world's best bar.
At Cox, we're always a step ahead. There you go. I'll show you. Like, before your basement became Movie Central, we made sure you'd have strong Wi-Fi, even down here. And you can rest easy knowing the price of your plan won't go up for 3 years. Guaranteed. See? He's looking out for you, and so are we, with advanced security that blocks threats on your network. Good boy. Whatever the future brings, Cox will keep you a step ahead. Oh.
What's up, Raider Nation? Happy Week 1! Football is back, and it is time for the Pete Carroll era to officially begin. This season, it starts at Gillette Stadium against the Pats. Here are 3 stats you need to know about Geno Smith before kickoff. 1. Last season in Seattle, Smith set career highs with a 70.4 completion percentage and 4,320 passing yards, both ranked in the top 5 in the NFL. Number 2, since 2023, Smith has 9 game-winning drives. That's tied for most of the NFL over that span. He also has 8 fourth-quarter comebacks in the past 2 seasons, which ranks number 1. Stat 3, computer vision shows that no quarterback since 2022 has been more accurate on deep passes when under pressure and on the move than Smith. With changes to the Pats secondary, look for Smith & Company to take advantage.
Look who it is, Jackson Powers-Johnson. It is always good to see you, and thanks for coming up to the studio, by the way.
Thanks for having me up here. I mean,
you're
out of breath
venturing out.
walking up the stairs, but feeling good now.
Yeah, we're contributing to your workout. So, look, I mean, this is your second year. So, how is it different from this time last year when your rookie season? I'm sure you were just trying to figure everything out.
Definitely got my feet under me. It's been, a great off season, and now kind of finally going into the first game. But definitely strides were made. Feel definitely more comfortable. Have my own house here. Definitely settled, and really excited to get going.
It's always good to feel settled, and I know then you can focus on football. And every player that we talk to before every season says that there's one area that they really focused in on their training, that it's going to be a big focus for them in the upcoming year. For you, what was that for you?
I think it's just all around consistency in my training. First off season as a pro, it's completely on you. It's so much different than college where they pretty much own you. So just being a better all-around athlete, working on strength, speed, consistency, getting a really good routine coming in every day, and just following with Max was definitely vital for me to get take a jump from year 1 to year 2.
Max, and the way that he trained and his discipline, is that what you learned from him?
For sure, the discipline and the consistency that he has day in, day out, I definitely just try to take that and put that into my repertoire. And then also, the routine he has, and, kind of put that into mine.
When Pete Carroll arrived, there was an understanding that you might play center, and that's what we all thought in the offseason. Then it switches back, you play guard. Take me through that decision to be at guard, and now you'll be starting at right guard on Sunday?
Yeah, so I was training both kind of the whole offseason. I really wasn't focusing on one. Definitely the media had me pegged into one position. But no, we just got into training camp, and, first couple days go, and you kind of see, okay, where do our best guys need to be? And I got to give a lot to Jordan. Jordan had a hell of a camp, and he did so great at center. He's going to be an amazing center. And it's cool to think that, a guy who signed on to one-year contract is going to be starting, and he's going to have such a great year. And, me moving to right guard, like, right side's comfortable for me. I'll play anything. And I think the coaching staff knows that I can do that. So me being able to switch to right guard and, keep the same play that I have at center, the same enthusiasm and love, I think the coaches like to see that at right guard. And they also love to see how, great Jordan's been doing it as well.
And it's you and DJ Glaze on that right side,
Yep.
both in your second year, both came in together.
Yep.
Do you kind of have that you always share, and that feeling like we're going to anchor this side of the line for a long time, and you take pride in that?
For sure. I mean, we came in together. We were roommates together for the first couple of months when we stayed at the M.
Is he a good roommate? Does
Oh,
he
he's
snore?
I'm the worst roommate. I'm the one who snores for sure.
Oh,
He's
no.
a perfect roommate. He's quiet, goes to bed early. He's great. So definitely having that connection with him. Our families sit together at games. Like our families are pretty connected. His little brother is awesome. So to be able to have such a great connection with the guy to the right of me is great, and we'd love to anchor this for as long as they'll have us.
Look, there's no doubt Pete Carroll, Chip Kelly, they like to run the football. The offensive line is very important, especially in a Chip Kelly offense. What is it about these 5 men, this unit specifically, that Raider Nation should be excited about?
Well, we have just so much going for us. I think, we're a smart group. We're, definitely gotten better from last year. And the schemes that are put into place are really, going to help this unit go. I think we have a lot of tenacity, a lot of fire, and a lot of want. And I think that's what makes this unit so special this year, and makes it going to make our offense go.
When you first saw what Chip Kelly wanted to do on offense, what was the number one thing that stood out to you about what he does?
Yeah, so I was super excited that Chip was coming in. Me being a former Duck, and me Chip's era kind of made me fall in love with Oregon growing up. So to see the speed and the different things and the knowledge that he brings, I think that's the biggest thing that stood up. Is he's a master at offensive football, and it's just so cool to see. Every meeting, it feels like it's a TED Talk to me. I'm learning new things about different positions or how to look at things different, because he has so much knowledge, and he's just this genius and this master. So being able to, be in an offense and run the plays he's calling, and then also just get to learn the things that he knows is just amazing.
It's not hard to guess much is going to be expected from Ashton Genty, number 6 overall pick. What have you seen from him just in the short time you've been with him that makes you believe that the Raiders are going to be a force on the ground through him?
I mean, just how he runs. I mean, I've said it before, like, he runs like he's angry at the ground. How he runs, how he blocks, how he approaches everything, it isn't like a rookie. Your rookie year, everyone's spinning about, and he's dialed in, he's focused. And I think just how he plays, I think even in, the San Francisco game, there was like 2 big hits. He, runs over somebody, and that's cool. But the thing that stuck with me is they threw a swing pass to him, and he got hit. And it's the loudest hit I think I've ever heard, and he did not move a muscle.
Yeah.
And right there you see that and you go, whoa.
He's a dog.
That's really different. So the things that he's going to, bring physically are so much, but also the mental and, how he attacks day in and day out, I think that's what he's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
We've talked a lot about Pete Carroll and his attributes. Everywhere he goes, he wins. He turns organizations around. Was there a moment of your interaction with him where you said, okay, this is different. This is a guy that's been to the mountaintop. He knows what he's doing. What was that moment?
I think it was literally first time I met him. It was 5:30 in the morning in the off season, and I look out into the indoor, and Pete Carroll is getting up shots at 5:30 in the morning. And I don't know how old he is, but he's just shooting and going. So me and Max kind of jog over to, shoot some hoops, and he just throws me the ball, and he's like, let's go, one-on-one. Like, not even, hi, my name's Pete Carroll, or, my name's JPJ. No, here, let's go. and we just went at it.
I love it.
And it definitely was something I was like, whoa, like, this is a guy who wants to compete with you.
Yeah,
and
no
I think
doubt.
that's so huge. You have coaches who praise a lot and say a lot, and there's coaches that do it. And I got to give props to my high school coach was the same way. My high school coach has MS, and he comes in every single day at 5:30 with the players and lifts with the players.
Yeah,
And
gotta respect that.
when I see that from a high school coach, and then I see Pete the first time I meet him competing with me, I know it's going to be different. We're going to win games.
Are you ready to play real football on Sunday?
Yes.
Looking forward to it. All right, good luck with the Patriots, and thanks for joining us. Good luck in your second year.
Of course, thank you.
Coming up, we show you why winning is Pete Carroll's specialty. It's One Last Thing next.
Every year, millions fly with us at Allegiant because together, we go places. We see old friends and try new things. We laugh. We really like to laugh. And reconnect. We remember. And we wander, which leads to wonder. From how we go to where we go to what we do when we get there, we go further together.
At Cox, we're always a step ahead. There you go. I'll show you. Like, before your basement became Movie Central, we made sure you'd have strong Wi-Fi, even down here. And you can rest easy knowing the price of your plan won't go up for 3 years. Guaranteed. See? He's looking out for you, and so are we, with advanced security that blocks threats on your network. Good boy. Whatever the future brings, Cox will keep you a step ahead. Oh.
How about totally obsessed? We created a cocktail that requires 7 unique ingredients. The most important one? 1800 tequila. Just as obsessed with taste and quality as we are. The world's most awarded tequila, proudly poured at the world's best bar.
Every year, millions fly with us at Allegiant because together, we go places. We see old friends and try new things. We laugh. We really like to laugh. And reconnect. We remember. And we wander, which leads to wonder. From how we go to where we go to what we do when we get there, we go further together.
It's about competing. It's about being the best you can possibly be. My expectations are about as high as they can get.
It's a bulldozer! Crosby! Shot for Bowers!
We're gonna win a bunch of games. There ain't nothing that I can't even imagine it. There's no limit. We're going for it.
The Silver and Black Show has been brought to you by Cox, proud partner of the Las Vegas Raiders. Allegiant, the official airline of the Raiders. Low fares, nonstop flights, only at Allegiant.com. And by Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Las Vegas Raiders and the NFL. Time now for one last thing. Tom Brady is now a Raider, and it is comforting to know the GOAT has a say. Winners know how to win, and Brady knows Pete Carroll is a winner.
I think Pete's really done a tremendous job, like a lot of coaches with veteran experience are able to do. You know, they run a real program. Nothing really surprises them. I mean, Pete has had a tremendous record of success when he was at Seattle, obviously when he was at USC. He's a tremendous coach and leader. I think the Raiders having a figurehead like that at that position gives them a great chance to compete.
They run a real program. In other words, Pete Carroll is serious. What's impressive is that tremendous record of success Brady mentions was immediate at every stop Carroll has ever made. Check it out, 1997, first year as head coach of the Patriots, they win the AFC East and go to the playoffs. 2002, second year at USC, the Trojans go from a 6-6 team to an 11-2 team, and they win the Orange Bowl. 2010, first year in Seattle, Carroll wins the NFC West and takes the Seahawks to the playoffs. Instant results. Why? Because the bar is set high, and Carroll isn't afraid to speak winning into existence.
Oh, we got to win a ton. We got to win a bunch of games. There ain't nothing. I can't even imagine anything. I've been winning 10 games a year for 20 years or something. I mean, what are my expectations? We're going to win a bunch, and I don't care. Who hears that.
The Raiders expect to win on the road at Gillette Week 1, and it's refreshing to know this year they'll be led by a man who accepts nothing less. That'll do it for us. Kickoff set for 10 a.m. Pacific time from New England. Make sure you catch Raiders game day right here after the game. I'm Amber Theoharis. I'll see you next time. Have a great weekend.